Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino talks about every game he's played this month being July 2020, which could be the start of something. Whether it's old or new, if I played it this month, it goes in the list. I know you're all incredibly interested in my gaming habits, so I'm just trying to generously whet them appetites, you dig? In no order except verbal. Number 1, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yep, I still play this, relatively consistently, and even when there aren't any friends around, I like to do some squad strike against CPUs and feel how smooth a lagless connection is offline for a change. I've got 1,000 hours in Smash, and I'll probably put in 1,000 more. It's my favorite fighting game of all time, and it's more fun now that I'm decent at it. My main is half the cast. Variety is the spice of life, baby. Now they could just go ahead and unveil the next 5 DLC characters already, that'd be great. Number 2, Neon Abyss. I initially wrote this game off after not enjoying it that much the first hour or so I played it, but as I got more invested in beating bosses and spending upgrade points, thereby unlocking more content, the game really started to flesh itself out and bring me into where I've got about 12 hours now. The 2D twin-stick shooter roguelike action is smooth, with a variety of crazy weaponry, even though a third of them are the same laser gun dressed up a little different. If you're a roguelike hunter like me, I'd definitely say Neon Abyss is worth at least some of your time. Number 3, Mario Tennis Aces. After a year off, I came back to Mario Tennis Aces for a triumphant 5 or 6 hours of still destroying everybody online because tennis is my shit. You can look up my latest stream if you want to see me win like 18 matches in a row. Mario Tennis Aces is just a fun-ass multiplayer game. I wish I knew anyone but me who played it. The campaign is fluff. Playing against CPUs is the most boring thing you'll do before killing yourself, but the online action against real human beings you can obliterate with your Jedi mind tricks and conditioning and chess brain is intense, stressful, and glorious to this day. There's just way less people doing it, and waiting for a match can take minutes, but I still heartily recommend. Number 4, Ghost of Tsushima. This one's a no-brainer. Ghost of Tsushima is a tremendously good open-world samurai game. I'm 30 hours in and nowhere near done. Just running around and clearing out Mongol encampments with usually more skill than you're seeing here is a blast. All the little side projects are fun, the map is jam-packed with stuff to do, the combat is super satisfying, and the stealth is no slouch either. You've got a top 5 game of the year here guaranteed. Number 5, Slay the Spire. I have almost 500 hours in Slay the Spire, and that's too many. At this point, I still log on almost every day just to do like a third of the daily challenge before I get bored and quit, and that's not a knock on the game, which is obviously still great, but I'm like a burnout addict. I'm sick of this game, but I keep coming back, but I can only sustain 20 minutes or so before I slap myself across the face and snap out of the allure like, no, Albino, for God's sake, go play something else, anything else. And then I usually get on Monster Train, lol, which is another deck builder roguelike RPG you'll see later on in this video if you didn't know. Number 6, Destroy All Humans Remake. I am pleasantly surprised by how much better they managed to make this game. The story, dialogue, and mission structure are identical, but the graphics were overhauled for better or worse concerning some of the human models, and they made a ton of quality of life improvements and fundamental gameplay changes that make things feel so convenient and smooth compared to the original. A fair warning for those unfamiliar with the content, but the original game came out before the woke revolution, and this remake stayed true to form, so if you're upset by crude and politically incorrect humor, I've got some spare diapers in the timeout corner you can go sit in and shit yourself. Number 7, Monster Train. There it is. Monster Train is another deck builder roguelike RPG, but this time your cards are units and spells you play to prevent the opposing angels from climbing the floors of your triple-decker train and destroying your precious life force, essentially. I don't think this game has quite as much longevity as Slay the Spire, but I do think it's initially more fun. And now that they added daily challenges to this one too, I've been having to carve out hefty chunks of my days just to indulge my need to set mediocre scores on leaderboards. Number 8, Grounded. Grounded just came out in early access in a mostly sandbox form, but this co-op miniature bug survival game is still pretty good for what it is. I generally don't like survival games because if I wanted to manage my hunger and thirst meters, I'd just keep being a human and wander over to the kitchen, but I can be sold on particular gimmicks, and despite my general hatred and disgust for all things bug-related, Grounded is a neat setting, and it's fun to base build and survive as long as I maintain a distance of at least 100 yards from the nearest giant spider, which I'm not showing in this footage because I'm a nice person. Number 9, Iris and the Giant. Whoa, what's that I see? Another deck builder roguelike RPG? Yeah, I kinda like them. Iris and the Giant is a softer, more introspective take on the genre where you play as a girl who's really shy and is basically going inside her own mind to fight against geometric demons and stuff with her weapon and spell cards to try and push past her doubts and fears or something like that. It's a very calming and serene experience. Not as much longevity as the other two before it, but definitely worth a few hours. Number 10, Paper Mario Origami King. This is my first Paper Mario game, and while I enjoy the aesthetic and especially the levity of the story, I thought the ring-based puzzle combat got old pretty fast and I haven't gotten more than a couple hours in. I would have been down to finish Origami King if I had somebody to hand the controller to every time I had to fight the same enemies, rearranged a little differently a dozen times in a row, but since I don't have the undoubtedly hundreds of dollars it would take to pay someone to do such an arduous task, I'll just stick to appreciating it from a viewer's perspective, hypothetically in my head. Number 11, Rogue Legacy. Why, if it isn't the original Rogue of roguelike fame. I am very super late to the party on Rogue Legacy. I actually had it downloaded years ago, but it was on my Mac before I had a PC, and I didn't have a controller to plug in and play with, and I despise keyboard controls for platformers, so I gave up on it pretty fast. Then I scrolled through my library one day, PC in hand, controller in hand, booted it up in anticipation for the sequel, which got delayed to August 18th to my dismay, and with proper controls I discovered why this game started a roguelike renaissance. The idea that Rogue Legacy 2 is going to be this, but way better, excites me greatly. Number 12, Fae Tactics. A late bloomer to July, Fae Tactics came out a few days ago, and if you can't already tell by the name, it's a first-person shooter. Just kidding. It's a turn-based tactics game like Pokemon Conquest and probably some more notable games I'm not mentioning. I put hundreds of hours in Pokemon Conquest, so Fae Tactics is a game I can definitely get behind. I've only played an hour so far because I've been obsessively busy with the next game on this list, but I do intend to return to it. Number 13, Fairy Tail. Dude, this game is fucking amazing. Like, it's technically not that good. If we were judging on storytelling and polish, it'd be like a 7 out of 10. But the JRPG formula, Persona-like combat but with grid-based targeting, and just the grind loop of leveling up your characters, raising their character ranks to unlock new abilities, taking on jobs to get money to spend, leveling up the guild itself, improving a dozen or so facilities, building support between characters for bonuses, and one of the meatiest post-game offerings I've ever seen. Like, the game's first impression isn't great, but once you start getting strong and opening yourself up to all these things you can do, it's so addicting I played it for 40 hours in 3 days. No joke. I could not put this game down. Keep in mind this is all coming from a huge Fairy Tail fan, which I do think you have to be to enjoy it. It's like any anime game, really. But this game in particular will probably turn away newcomers because the story arc it starts off with is at the end of the 4th season, so you gotta watch like 120 episodes to know what the hell's happening, and the game's way of filling you in on past events is giving you a digital encyclopedia to read. The only real problem I have with this game, besides some attack animations taking forever and being unskippable, is that the voices aren't dubbed, and Fairy Tail is a must-dub show because all the English voice actors are perfectly cast. But otherwise, the authenticity is terrific and you really feel like you're in the world of Fairy Tail, and that brought me 40 hours of pure joy, so take from that what you will. Well, that's all the games I played this month. Join me next month for all the games I played that month. Sorry if this is hard to follow. Like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino, and I'll see you guys next time.